So this story right here threw me for a bit of a loop because it seems like the Republican donor class is hell-bent on making the same mistakes that they made in the 2016 race. So this is in Raw Story. They say, GOP donors already looking beyond Trump-DeSantis slugfest for another 2024 option. Wow. Conservative donors expressed an interest in looking beyond Donald Trump and his presumed challenger Ron DeSantis ahead of the Republican presidential primary. The Florida governor hasn't officially entered the race, but some conservatives said they were concerned that he could survive a head-to-head battle with the ex-president without alienating MAGA voters or turning off independent voters, and nearly 24 GOP donors and activists gathered at an event in Sea Island, Georgia, told the Washington Post they'd like a backup option to emerge. Quote, the 2024 primary will be a Trump-DeSantis slugfest through the fall. Then, if exhaustion sets in, there will probably be an opening for one or two candidates to get the bright lights on them before Iowa, said Scott Reed, a Republican strategist who managed Bob Dole's 1996 campaign for president. The former president leads in the primary polls, but many GOP voters are tired of his constant grievances, but conservative activists aren't sure DeSantis has the juice to overcome Trump's combative tactics and win over voters in early states who expect one-on-one contact with candidates. So, look, here's the problem with this analysis. If DeSantis doesn't have the juice to topple Trump, nobody has the juice to topple Trump because he's the closest by a wide margin. So for them to fish around for a third option, it's like that's deep wishful thinking because DeSantis has found a way to tap into some of that former Trump supporting love and also attract other people, whereas there's no other candidate that attracts from either the Trump pool or any other pool for that matter. It's just, they just got nothing. So it's amazing that they're thinking this way because this is deep wishful thinking. They continue here. My gut feeling is don't count out some of the others, said Mike Murphy, a GOP strategist who led a super PAC that supported Jeb Bush. Wow, so the guy who supported Jeb Bush thinks, bro, we can get another option out there, no big deal. Well, how did your Jeb Bush support go? It didn't go too well, now did it? There's nothing wrong and everything right with surging on September 20th, not now, when the Iowa caucus's electorate starts to finally tune in, which doesn't really happen until the winter of this year. Gordon Sondland, who testified against Trump in the 2019 impeachment inquiry after serving as his ambassador to the European Union, said donors are committed to beating the former president and open to almost any alternative. Quote, what I'm hearing in the donor class is that we absolutely want to win this time, said Sondland, a major Republican donor. This is not about running your favorite horse for reasons of pride. Yeah, but again, that's the thing. If all the donor class has their own preferred candidate and they all back their own particular horse, the same thing's going to happen as happened in 2016. They would all need to get on the same page and support the only guy who has a chance of taking him down, DeSantis, in order to maybe have a chance to win. They say GOP voters Don and Terry Szymborski told The Post they both like DeSantis but are hoping former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie runs again. Quote, I think it will shape up once things with Trump settle down, added Don Szymborski, who works in corporate finance. I voted for him twice and I won't vote for him again. He will not get my vote. It's time to move on. See, what you're seeing here is the difference between the way the donor class thinks and the way your average Republican voter thinks. Because the donor class, they have more money, they're more educated, and that's just a different voting bloc than the majority voting bloc in the Republican Party. And so they're projecting too much onto others their own feelings, and the polls really bear that out. Christie has been making moves signaling a possible run, such as recent appearance in New Hampshire, and one of his allies told the Post that GOP donors and voters want to see more from DeSantis before committing to him. Quote, these are very tricky waters to navigate, and the governor is doing pretty well at it, picking his spots on where and when to engage with Trump and when to leave Trump smears aside, said Bill Palatucci, a Republican National Committeeman from New Jersey and Christie confidant. I think the jury is still out and trying to figure out what type of presidential candidate he might make. I don't know if he's talking about Chris Christie there or Ron DeSantis there, but if he's talking about Christie there, all I have to say is LOL. Look, Trump should be reading this article and doing cartwheels. Imagine Trump actually doing a cartwheel. The gelatinous blob doing the world's worst cartwheel. But, this is exactly what happened in 2016. You had the GOP donor class split. It was like, hey, some to Marco Rubio, some to John Kasich, some to Chris Christie, some to low-energy Jeb. You just go down the list. And as a result of that, Trump was able to get in there. And then now they're saying we need somebody else other than Trump or DeSantis. And it's like, it's just not in the cards, man. I just don't see it. It's just not in the cards. Because any of the other people who are even considering running have less than no chance. They have no grassroots support. They don't have a big enough name for themselves. It's just beyond wishful thinking. But look, oftentimes that's what happens with this donor class, right? They're so used to buying whatever they want, whenever they want it, that it's just they think they could just will that into existence. And if they're hoping for like Chris Christie to somehow break through, bro, he missed his moment. His moment was all the way back in 2012. That's when his moment was. And he waited till 2016, and that was clearly a big mistake. Clearly a big mistake. And now, I mean, he's got more support among the CNN crew than he does among Republican voters, you know? So anyway, it's interesting that these guys are still this dumb at this late date. Hell-bent on making the same mistakes that were made in 2016. I said it once, I'll say it again, man. The only prayer you have of taking down Trump, especially at this moment now, is DeSantis gets all the donor money, he gets everybody else to fall in line, and he runs a phenomenal campaign. That's it. That's it. Because even though the media class is now abandoning Trump over his legal troubles and how unhinged he is and the January 6th stuff and all that, like, that's all true. But, like, even with the media abandoning him, he's grown his lead. Even with the Republican donors abandoning him, he's grown his lead. So it's like, you guys all need to get on the same page ASAP to make this work. And even then, you better cross your fingers and hope that it works. Better hope that Trump fizzles out at some point or actually ends up not just arrested, but convicted at some point, right? Like, this is how you're going to beat him, if you're going to beat him at all. So anyway, there you have it. Incredibly naive for people who are big money Republican donors who should know politics to one extent or another. This is the most naive thing I've ever heard. Like, really? What are you going to do? Y'all going to decide on Nikki Haley and get her across the finish line? Give me a break. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.